the subjunctive with adverbial clauses. And the way we're going to help remember this is the following. All right. So let's say you are driving along on the road. Here we go. And you see a red light. Now I know mine's white, so let's not get picky. I am not the greatest artist. And here's a road. And let me see. Let's draw this is my car here. I drive a, well, I don't really know what this is. It kind of looks like a truck. It kind of looks like a car. Maybe that's me. All right. Here's a light. Oh, safety belt. Don't forget your seat belt. All right, I'm driving along, and all of a sudden, I see a red light. Well, what do I do when I see a red light? I automatically have to do something. And what do I automatically have to do? I automatically have to stop. All right. Well, in Spanish, there are certain adverbial clauses that when you see them, you automatically have to do something. All right, well, what's another word for adverbial clause? A word. Okay, well, there are certain times in Spanish when you see a word, you must automatically use subjunctive. All right, well, that seems pretty easy. I see a red light, I automatically stop. I see a certain word, I automatically use the subjunctive. Now, what are these words? Well, they're over here on the left. And to remember them, we're going to call them AAA spaces. There's really no other way around it. You just need to memorize them. So what do these stand for? Before, so that, or in order that, unless, without, so that, or in order that, depending on the context, unless, provided that, in case, and finally we have provided that. So we have our AAA spaces. And when we see one of these words, or we can call it a fancy term, we can call it our adverbial clause. When we see one of these things, we have to automatically use subjunctive, present or past, depending on the context. Okay, well, let's go through and let's look at a couple examples. Let's look at a few examples to see this in application. So our first sentence. Well, we look at that sentence, and what we're trying to figure out is, do I need to use the subjunctive? And remember, there are lots of ways to use the subjunctive. But what we're looking at here is, do we have one of our AAA spaces? Do we have one of those words or adverbial clauses that makes it automatic that we have to use the subjunctive? Well, in this first sentence, I see antes de que, and that is one of our automatic expressions. So we have to use the subjunctive. And just to clarify, we put the subjunctive verb in the verb that's to the right, or that's right after the clause. So llegar into the present subjunctive. We just have to be careful because that's one of our gar verbs, and so it looks a little different. Number two. So we're looking at that, and it says, well, I will be at home in order that someone answers the phone. So we look at our clause, a fin que. Is that one of them? And yeah, that is one of them. So we're going to automatically use the subjunctive, and we put the subjunctive verb to the right of the clause. Alright, let's look at one more. So unless they study, they will not pass the exam. Okay, well, we have seen K, and that is part of our AA spaces, our AAA spaces. And we know that when we have AAA spaces, we automatically use the subjunctive. And so we can go ahead and put that in there. Now these three examples were pretty easy because I set it up so that we would only use some of these words. And we remember that it happens in the space to the right of the verb. So when you're working with these adverbial clauses in Spanish, you automatically have to use the subjunctive. Just like arriving to that red light and you automatically have to stop, you automatically have to use subjunctive. So take some time and memorize your AAA spaces. There's really no way around it, but let's make our lives easy and just memorize AAA spaces. Alright, take the time to study it. If you see one of these words, subjunctive. Suerte.